Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is performed by David Tilmon. It's called Mount Princeton, and it's on his debut record, Formative, which you can find wherever you get your music. David Tilmon will be performing a primarily instrumental show at Very Nice Brewing Company very soon. More details coming up after the interview. If you're interested in learning more about David Tilmon before you head over to the show, be sure to check out his website to find his social media presence and his streaming service presence. That website is davidtilmon.com. Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to this week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I don't think I have much in the way of announcements except for my normal podcast prelude, so I'm just going to jump into those and then we'll get right into the interview. First, if you haven't subscribed to the Mountaineer yet, we highly recommend you do. If you head to our website at the mtnear.com, then you can subscribe today. You can also browse certain articles on the website completely free of charge, but if you want full access to the digital archive as well as scanned copies of the physical newspapers, or maybe you even want a physical newspaper sent to your mailbox or the mailbox of someone you love, then please subscribe at the mtnear.com today. And by the way, if you stay tuned to the very end of this episode, you'll get a very special discount meant specifically for podcast listeners. And the second quick thing is a message brought to you by the Mountaineer.
Are you interested in advertising? The Mountaineer has advertising in print, on our website, through our social media. We have 3 guides each year, coupon insertions, and more. Want more information? Email marketing@themountaineer.com or give Bethany a call at 720-960-2900.
All right, I think that's pretty much it. We'll come back with music mentions after this week's interview. But our guest this week, let's bring you on. Do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, I'm David Tilmon. I'm a primarily instrumental guitarist based out of Berthoud, Colorado. Yeah, I've been in Colorado all my life, playing pretty regularly along typically the Front Range area. And yeah, most of my shows tend to be instrumental, primarily acoustic instrumental guitar, fingerstyle guitar. But I try to grab as many influences as I can. And I think kind of having lived in Colorado all my life and playing in so many locations through Colorado, I've got a lot of influence as far as various locations in my compositions.
So I assume it'll be a similar story for your upcoming performance at Very Nice Brewing Company.
Yeah, I've been playing at Very Nice Brewing, I think for about a year now. I've been up there semi-regularly in their Netherlands location. They have a great location up in Gilpin now as well. And yeah, typically those performances are just me and my acoustic guitar. Every now and then I brought along an electric to do still instrumental, but I guess kind of a different sonic feel when it's on the electric guitar as opposed to acoustic. And yeah, a handful of singing. I think of myself more instrumental than not. I have a couple songs that I sing vocally, but really I try to, just try to get as much out of the guitar as far as different styles, different tones, and then I try to blend in a large variety of my own compositions, some songs, compositions of other guitarists that I really admire and have been influenced by. Then I also have a pretty strong or pretty large repertoire of arrangements of more common tunes that kind of people recognize. So I love doing some Beatles tunes. I have a Talking Heads cover I do, a Queen song that I do. Try to grab a pretty wide range of influences and songs, and so I think, there's always something that everyone can enjoy listening to.
Well, in general, David, how did you get started in music in the first place? What were your influences from the very start? How did you get interested in performing? And what ultimately led you to a focus on instrumentals?
Yeah, I guess if I went way, way back, growing up, our parents kind of all wanted us to pick an instrument, take lessons. I think I started on piano. Don't think it was a really great fit. I didn't really enjoy lessons, didn't really enjoy playing, but my parents kind of said, you should learn an instrument, and I really appreciate them, really encouraging us to be musical in a way. And so from the piano, I chose to play the guitar. We had a guitar in the house that really wasn't getting played, so started lessons. And then, I really attribute it to a really great instructor I had who was kind of introduced me to so many different styles of music, styles of playing, wasn't rigid as far as typical music lessons, as far as we got to learn the scales, X, Y, Z, do this. We definitely focused on the music theory, scales, all of that work, but was really open as far as me getting to pursue what I wanted to play, and then him also guided me in some areas that maybe I never heard of. And I think when you start out on guitar, right, everyone's learning Smoke on the Water, some of those big riff songs, and then I think he was really proactive in showing me other styles of playing. And so I think early on as well, I heard Classical Gas on the radio once, an older instrumental guitar song that was quite popular. And I think that was the first time I thought, you can just play guitar instrumentally on its own. And so that kind of opened up the fingerstyle playing. And once you start playing with your fingers rather than a pick, there's a lot of great influences, in kind of the rock realm. There's people like Mark Knopfler who only uses his fingers, but then certainly in more of the bluegrass, classical side, there's a lot of great guitarists. Chet Atkins comes to mind. There's Merle Travis, Jerry Reed. So really started primarily playing with the fingers, which is great because you can play your melody, you can play your bass line, you can kind of do it all rather than maybe just strumming or picking a single note at a time. And then also for a little while there, took some classical lessons and really focused specifically on just classical guitar, which I think was really great to have that structure. And then, just as things evolved, I started taking all of that and writing my own material. And so that's where some of my songs are very much maybe having a jazz feel, and the next one might be a very strongly classical influenced feel, and then some other might have some rhythmic influences or some kind of lines that are more similar to rock. So it's just kind of a big soup of everything.
So are there any influences in regards to songs or musicians that have stuck with you throughout your life?
Yeah, definitely. I think Classical Gas, that's like a song, for instance, that I've been playing for over 10 plus years now. There's a great song called Windy and Warm. That's an older style tune. It was recorded and made popular by Chet Atkins. It was written by another guitarist. I think John Loudermilk was his name. But I remember I learned that in high school. I think I played that for a high school talent show. I've been playing that for a couple decades now. And so there are those songs that have always just kind of stuck around and been there. A lot of my original compositions, I started writing music when I was in high school. And so some of those songs I've been performing and have kind of been evolving over time. As far as ongoing influences, I think it's interesting. Like when I perform, my style of playing is probably most similar to fingerstyle guitarists, Chet Atkins, Merle Travis, or some other more modern guitarists. William Ackerman, I believe is his name. But I really find myself listening more to singer-songwriter type music. So I think if I went to the most played on my Apple iTunes music app, I think Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Tom Petty, Mark Knopfler, and then some guitarists like Eric Johnson, Pat Metheny, for instance, would probably be all up there in the top 5 or 6 artists, guitarists that I keep consistently coming back to.
By the way, in case you're interested, Classical Gas was originally composed and performed by American guitarist Mason Williams with instrumental backing by members of the Wrecking Crew. And David remembered correctly, Windy and Warm was composed by John D. Loudermilk Jr. The D is sometimes just the letter D and sometimes spelled D-E-E. And along with Chet Atkins having performed the song, Windy and Warm has also been performed by Doc Watson and another guitar player that David let me know after the interview was another huge influence in his guitar playing, Tommy Emmanuel. But you talked earlier about how you've delved a little into utilizing vocals in some of your shows. So I'm curious, how much have you tried writing songs with vocals and lyrics? Because it is very clear that instrumental music is your strength and preference.
Yeah, definitely strength and preference. I think that's just what it's evolved into. You know, you kind of get good at what you focus on, and at the time I was just focusing on just the playing. And I think a lot of times I've been working on singing. Over the years, I've written some songs. I don't think that's a huge component of what I do. I've been trying to bring that in a little bit more just because I think when you're putting on a show, it adds a little bit of variety. I think just how music is a way of communicating. We have different tools and musical language to communicate with, and I think the voice is one of those tools. And so I have been working towards being able to utilize that a bit more. But yeah, I think for a while there, I was really just focused on how much can I get out of just guitar as an instrument, right? How much can I make it talk, speak for itself? And I think it depends on the gig as well, too. I have some gigs where I'm more, you know, if I'm playing at like a wine bar, a setting type like that, just the instrumental music works a lot better rather than trying to put vocals over the top of, other people that are maybe there not specifically to listen. Other settings like Very Nice Brewing, some other venues where it's more of a concert that I could put on, I think being able to sing vocally works a lot better. I think I try to tune my set to where I'm playing at, and different songs of mine, singing or not singing, work better depending on who I'm playing for and what the setting is.
And over the years that you have been writing in general, what's kept you coming back to the process? And are there any methods in particular that you've utilized over the years?
Yeah, I wish I knew, because then I could duplicate it more frequently. The songwriting, how it happens, even though there's some intentionality behind it, is somewhat elusive as far as exactly what happens. I think typically what happens is I'm just practicing. So I'm learning something, I hear something, I try to figure out the melody, I'm doing some scales, and I feel like typically what happens is you kind of come across something that just sounds new, different, be it an arrangement of chords, a rhythm, a really quick melody line, usually something only just maybe a couple seconds in length. And I don't know why or when or what, but every now and then something just jumps out of like, oh, that's different. Right, I don't think someone's done that before. I think it evokes maybe this emotion or this response. And then I think it's just kind of a process of expanding and growing that. And sometimes it comes together very quickly. You get a quick idea like that, and it just comes out as a whole song. The melody just falls into place, the different parts of the song. Other times, an hour later, it's gone nowhere. So I record a snippet of it, and I might come back to it a week, a month, a year later, and it might turn into a song after several years. I really, really wish there was a pattern that I could duplicate as far as being able to complete a song each time. And so that makes the songs very different. I think some that happen very quickly sometimes have like a really strong emotional tie to what was happening immediately in that moment. If you come up with that snippet, maybe while I'm on a trip and I see something that has been inspiring, then there's that really strong association and link to that. Other times, songs, if they develop way over time or over several years, different parts of the songs kind of have different feelings, different memories associated with them. And so then I think of some songs as being like a snapshot, like this song came quickly, it was just capturing this moment. And other songs to me seem to be more of like a video telling a longer story as they developed over time. But yeah, it's really, the writing process is somewhat of a mystery, because sometimes there's a melody. You might get a melody even before using the instrument, and you kind of pick up the chords or the bass line to it. Otherwise, sometimes it's just, those interesting chord structures that you really like, and then all the time is spent trying to find a melody that sounds good over the top of that.
And in general, over the course of your career, what's been your favorite part about performing live?
Favorite part? Yeah, let's see. I think how much I can distill that down, because it's all enjoyable. There's something about music that just inherently feels like it's meant to be shared. I think if I never performed, I'd still be playing guitar. I'd still be very happy. I think it's just a part of me. Anytime I sit down at home and perform, I guess I think of it as a performance. It's just me. I'm still putting something out into the world. In different settings, people might be listening or not, or in proximity to be able to listen. So yeah, I just feel like inherently music, it's a form of communication. I think if we look at the way music evolved with humanity, it's been something experiential that people have shared with each other. So I think there's just an element of when you play music, there's this pull of wanting to perform that for someone, to share that with other people. And so, yeah, it's just like how you enjoy having a conversation with someone, sharing what happened in your day, sharing good news, maybe venting about something in your life that didn't go so great. I feel like performing, sharing music is the same way. Here, let me tell you musically about this part of my life, about something that happened to me, about something great, about something that's kind of been on my nerves. Let me have this kind of conversation with you as far as putting something out there in the world that hopefully people can connect to.
Before we got on for this interview, though, I couldn't help but notice that on your social media, particularly Instagram where I saw this, you have changed your look for 2025. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. Hit me up with this interview, like right within a couple days of me kind of refreshing things. Yeah, I've been performing, playing, well over 10 years now with some regularity. And I think when COVID happened, that kind of stopped all live performing. So I feel like really after the pandemic, I came back and really started scheduling as many shows as possible, trying to really get out there as much as possible. And then, this year felt like it was a good time just to reset as far as, designing a new web page, working on a new logo. I have some exciting new videos coming out. I worked with a videographer just to kind of record some new songs to release, worked with a photographer to get some great new promo photos. So just kind of trying to refresh everything and build off of last year. I think last year I played 70 plus gigs over the year. And so just trying to keep that momentum going. I have a website, kind of basic stuff, background information about me. There's a newsletter on there if people want to sign up and hear updates where I'm playing at. Of course, have my performance calendar on there. And there's a lot of different gigs. I'm playing in the Front Range. I get up to Netherlands fairly frequently. Really love being able to play up there. And then also have a gig coming up in Lafayette and use performance space that I'm looking forward to. That's going to be more of a specific kind of showcase. So rather than playing at a brewery or some of these other settings, more of a specific musical event space so that I can really have an opportunity to, lean into these songs, share the stories behind them, and kind of have maybe a more special curated musical experience. But trying to just be able to get as much of my music and schedule out there. I think with the internet, it's been great as far as how easily you can reach people, but it's also changed how your music is released. It's no longer just recording your song and it's put out there as an album. You record that music and it can be released digitally. You can still release it as a CD. You can release it as a YouTube video. You can create a snippet and release it on Instagram. So just really trying to take advantage of all the different ways I can reach people.
And is there anything that you hope people in general will take away from your shows when they come to see you or your music when they hear it?
I suppose that people feel better leaving than when they came. Again, I feel like music, at least for me, has been such a positive experience. And so, I think being able to share any experience with another individual is really special. And so, I hope that regardless of where anyone is in their life, whether they're coming into Very Nice Brewing because they're intentionally coming to see me, maybe they weren't, maybe something wasn't going great in their day, but I hope after our time's passed that overall I've put a net positive out into the world and hopefully a net positive as far as how they're feeling once they leave.
So what other shows are coming up for you in the near future? And are there any other projects that we can look forward to?
Very Nice Brewing coming up. Several shows coming up at Very Nice Brewing, both in Netherlands and Gilpin. January 18th, playing at their Netherlands location. January 25th, up in Gilpin. And then February 15th, I'm at the Netherlands location. And then, down in the Front Range, I have a kind of recurring gig at a place called Cooper Wine Bar in Longmont, Colorado. Really fantastic, locally owned venue and space. And then I play there typically once or twice a week on Fridays. And it's a great, just kind of relaxed place to enjoy some great wine. And I kind of provide some background music there. And then, I think the biggest show I'm looking forward to currently is March 8th, playing at the Muse Performance Space in Lafayette. It is a ticketed event, $20 for that, kind of limited seating, smaller venue. But again, I think it's going to be a really great place just to really put on a show, just focusing on my music, my songs, kind of showcasing what I've been doing. And just really have a great listening room in order to do that.
And is there anything else in general that I forgot to ask and you want to add, or that you just want to mention in general?
I think that covers most of it. I think just if anyone, wants to learn more, davidtilmon.com. That's Tilmon, Tilmon. I try to keep that as updated as I can. I have a lot of stuff on there. I've recorded a couple CDs, albums over the years that are available hard copy, but can also be purchased for digital download, can be streamed through Spotify. There's a lot of ways to access the music I've been putting out there. I try to keep my YouTube channel pretty active as well. So I have several dozen videos of performing live, maybe playing in studio settings. And so, I would ask anyone who's interested to check out the website, and there's a lot more information, media, and music on it.
In that case, I think those are all the big questions I have on my end.
Great, thanks. Thanks for reaching out and spending time with me. I really love getting up to the Peak to Peak Netherlands area. Love getting up there to play music. Also, I do less of it now, but was always into cycling. And so getting up there, a lot of great cycling routes up there. So always feels really special being able to get up to the area.
Thank you so much to David for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to catch him performing a fingerstyle instrumental acoustic set at the Very Nice Brewing Company location in Netherlands, located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, number 112 in the Caribou Village Shopping Center, be sure to head over there on Saturday, January 18th, 2025, starting at 5 p.m. To learn more about David's music and find his social media presence, you can head to his website at davidtilmon.com. That social media presence includes streaming services where you can check out his 2021 solo release, Formative, wherever you get your music. And now, for this week's Music Mentions. Head to Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Netherlands on Sunday, January 19th, starting at 2 p.m. to see Mando Phil and Man Joe John of the legendary Cat House Pickers performing live. Once again, a smattering of performances are taking place at Eldora Mountain Resort, located primarily at 2861 Eldora Ski Road in Netherlands. Head over there on Wednesday, January 15th, starting at noon, to see Scott Dale performing in Timbers Tap House. Head over there on Friday, January 17th at 9 a.m. to see Aaron Stereo in the Boombox. Then again on Friday, January 17th at noon to see PJ Moon, the artist in residence, performing at Timbers Tap House. Head over there on Saturday, January 18th, starting at 9 a.m. to see Yololo in the Boombox. Again on Saturday, January 18th, starting at noon to see Patty Storin in Timbers Tap House. On Sunday, January 19th, starting at 9 a.m. to see B Random in the Boombox. And on Sunday, January 19th, starting at noon to see Sam McManus in Timbers Tap House. Head to the Jamestown Mercantile, located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown on Wednesday, January 15th, starting at 5 p.m. for an open mic night. On Thursday, January 16th, starting at 7 p.m. to see Andres Santana performing live. And on Friday, January 17th, starting at 7 p.m. for a karaoke night. Head to Knotted Root Brewing, located at 250 North Caribou Street in Netherlands, for all of their regularly scheduled music events. Wednesdays at 6 p.m., they host open mics. Fridays at 7:30 p.m., they host DJ nights. Second Fridays at 7:30 p.m., they host reggae DJ nights, and Sundays at 5 p.m., they host jazz Sundays. Head to the Caribou Room, located at 55 Indian Peaks Drive in Netherlands on Friday, January 17th to see the Magic Beans performing live. Doors open and dinner starts at 7 p.m., and the show starts at 8 p.m. And finally, pick your preference. If you want to head over to Gilpin County, then be sure to head over to the Very Nice Brewing Company location at 180 Jankowski Drive in Blackhawk on Saturday, January 18th, starting at 5 p.m. to see Strange Birds performing live. If you want to head over to Netherlands, then be sure to head over to the Very Nice Brewing Company location at 20 East Lakeview Drive, number 112, located in the Caribou Village Shopping Center on Friday, January 17th, starting at 6 p.m. to see Dr. Jim and Da Jude performing live. And, of course, on Saturday, January 18th, starting at 5 p.m., to see David Tilmon performing live. Did we miss you or any of your performances? Do you want to submit your music listing in the Peak to Peak area? Do you have updates to your business or to your performances? Please call 303-810-5409 or email info@themountaineer.com to be included in the next print edition or the next podcast of The Mountain Ear. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to this week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountain Ear Podcast. I'll be back on Monday with our first segment brought to you by Marianne Rosen for the year of 2025. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to our main website at themtnear.com and scroll near to the bottom, or head to our podcasts hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com to check out our full archive and share whichever episodes you want. If you want to be a part of the podcast in any way, shape, or form, and you're connected in some way to the Peak to Peak area, whether you're visiting and you have a story that you want to tell, whether you live here and you have a story that you want to tell, or if you have advertising in the Peak to Peak area that you want us to put on the podcast, whatever it may be sure to email me at media@themountaineer.com and we'll get something sorted for you. I will see you guys on Monday along with Marianne Rosen for her very first segment of 2025. Have a great rest of your day. The song that you are currently listening to is called Crazy Horse, and it is written and performed by David Tilmon. It was released on his 2021 record Formative, which is available wherever you get your music. He'll be performing a primarily instrumental show at Very Nice Brewing Company very soon, so be sure to head over to the Netherlands location at 20 East Lakeview Drive, number 112 in the Caribou Village Shopping Center on Saturday, January 18th, starting at 5 p.m. If you want to learn more about David before the show, then be sure to head over to his website to check out his social media and streaming service presence. That website is davidtilmon.com.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.